And we've been
I'm
we've been
adding like recording and live and stuff in the background, but
Oh, I
talk
can stop my
amongst yourselves.
okay.
Don't
Okay.
worry about me.
Okay. Yeah, let me just get her because I'm not trusting.
Yeah, no problem.
Otherwise, we
Okay.
might hear the barking in the
I don't want
background,
to
you know.
share.
Yeah.
That's not what I
Or
want.
maybe I'll just bark. I mean, woof woof, right? Like you never know.
On Facebook. Let's see if it wants to
Kimberly,
connect.
what are you eating? That looks amazing. It is amazing.
I think we're gonna go. Good, good,
It's a
good.
taco.
It
Taco.
is a taco. It
Yummy.
looks really good.
Hmm?
I'm gonna have fish later, not tacos, fish.
Oh,
I've had a lot
We
of
do fish
Mexican.
tacos.
I could, but I don't have any tacos because I didn't get any tortillas.
oh my goodness.
Oh no.
So all favorite people. Yay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna stream this.
Oh my God, you did so good, Angela. That was amazing. The
oh, thank you.
harmonies, and I could tell you were focused.
Mm, thank you. Thank you. It was so much fun to get to do that with my sister. So for Kimberly and Callie who don't, I think, know, I sang it was my first time ever being the only harmony with my in a duet. Being the harmony in a duet with just a mic and a piano. Like no sound, no nothing. It was like raw. And
Sure.
it was the first time ever doing harmony and owning it. And so
And
that was
learning
Wow,
harmonies
you
is
go
difficult.
on with yourself, man.
Yeah, learning harmonies is difficult. I did it by listening to the Beatles. Somebody
yeah,
told me, listen to the Beatles and pick apart each one. And I swear that really, really helped me. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
they're good for thirds and fifths. Really
Yeah.
great for thirds and fifths. If you want to get super creative and be tritone, don't go to them.
Yeah. Although some of them, but yeah, just to get it down. Yeah. The
Yeah,
thirds and the
yeah,
fifths. Yeah. It's
yeah.
quite something.
And in that song I sang, it was like there was one measure where we wrote in the harmony, and it was um so it was like for a full measure and then some, I'm outside of the chords. Because otherwise I was starting outside the chords over here, and I'm like, no, I want to just be outside the chords. And so yeah,
You really did a really good job.
it
Really
was
good job.
awesome.
Did
Yeah.
you record it?
I do have it. My brother-in-law recorded it on his, he had those fancy glasses, so no one knew he was recording because in my church, you're not supposed to record. But yeah.
Oh, but they must have recorded it because they had it going live. They don't record it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I wish I could have. I thought that were recording it. I don't know if I
Yeah.
could have done anything on my end.
Well, Brooke tried, my oldest tried. She did like a screen record, but she didn't tell it to record the sound.
Oh, how funny. How funny. How funny.
And she
And which
said
is
there
like the most important. I mean, it's nice
yeah,
to see you
yeah.
guys too.
But you heard the good sound from Lou's glasses because Brooke said on the Zoom, she said some of it was a little overwhelming to the mic, but I don't, or
No, I
maybe she
thought it
was
was
just saying
actually
that to make me feel good, like
no,
that she
I
had
could
to
hear it
say.
really well, and it was I was just so proud of you. It was so great. Yeah.
Oh
Sounded
yeah,
really good.
so much fun, so much fun. Anyhow,
Okay.
so
So we won't I won't interrupt anymore.
no, you're
Oh, no,
fine.
this is a totally a casual conversation. The whole idea was to bring fantastic women together, Rainbow Warrior Mermaids, to connect and get to know each other and collaborate. So that's actually what I was just going to start with anyway, is just to briefly orient everyone who's here on the call or watching us live or catches us on the recording later. This is Rainbow Warrior Mermaids Cafe, and it is part of the Rainbow Warrior Mermaids Sisterhood and Retreat community, which is a heart-centered space for connection and growth and authentic expression. And these gatherings are meant to be super simple, welcoming spaces where we can just show up and pause and connect and get to know each other better and explore something meaningful, because we each have these amazing visions and work that we are doing in the world. And I want as many people to know about what each of us are doing as possible, because we each draw our own people, and we resonate, we vibrate quite literally at like a specific frequency, and that's the right frequency for somebody out there. And I just like want to bring opportunity together to have that magic happen. And Lillian, I love to share the spotlight. I'm very community oriented, and I want to bring that awareness to the vision and work that's going on in our community with each of our different members. And so each month we do this session and we feature a special guest who's part of our community. And that today is our beautiful Angela, Surya talent. And we're going to let her elevate awareness and create opportunities for connection to her. And I mentioned Lily, she's my partner. She's not here this morning, but I do want to give her a little shout out. She is currently on her 12th day into the Great Mother March, which is about 24 roughly women who are making their way from Asheville, North Carolina, all the way to Washington, D.C. on foot. And that's about 500 miles. So yeah, that's huge. And they're stopping in little towns all along the way to spread love and joy and peace and hope, just like one authentic connection at a time, because ultimately that's what makes a difference in the world, right? So it's this incredible journey that she's on of empowerment and soulful connection. So if that interests you, you can follow and cheer her on through our Facebook community. She's posting in there every day about what experiences she's having and who she's meeting along the trail. And it's like, yeah, really an incredible thing to follow, even though I say I am no thanks, I don't want to walk 500 miles.
And I will walk
500 miles.
Funny.
I will
I hadn't even
walk
thought about that.
500 more. Yeah.
just to be the man who walked
500 miles. I wonder if they made it 500 simply because
know,
of that
right?
song. I don't know.
Now
Bunch
that
of
you say it.
80s pop people.
Okay, so I would also like to take a minute just to introduce Angela. Angela Surya Talent, who is part of our community, Rainbow Warrior Mermaids, whose work is deeply aligned with what we are exploring together. And she is the creator of the Noticing Journal and the founder of the Noticing Life. And it's a practice that she has created that is centered around something very simple, but super powerful: learning to notice. Learning to notice. So through her own journey of navigating chronic pain, Surya discovered that presence, really being with what is here, can open the door to profound shifts in how we experience our lives. That's me needing to slow down. And her work invites us to slow down, exactly that, to become curious and to reconnect with ourselves in a more compassionate and aware way, which is exactly what we're going to be practicing here. Not trying to force insight or create something perfect together, but just noticing what's already present here and allowing that to guide our process. So really grateful to her for showing up here today, to have her energy in this space with us. And Surya, I would love to start with your journey. What was the moment or the series of moments that led you into this practice of noticing, and how did it begin to transform your relationship with yourself?
So I think it was a process like of noticing, but I didn't know I was doing it at first. And it started with this question years and years and years and years ago, even after my disability, how do I follow my heart? Well, then it's like, well, how do I know what my heart wants? And then it turned into someone asked, doing like finding good questions, like Brian Fretwell talks about with his finding good stuff. And then during that, it was noticing, oh my gosh, there's always good around and there's always bad around. And what am I noticing and why? Why am I getting up right now to go get water versus 2 minutes ago? I don't know. How come my family's irritating me today and the same thing yesterday made me laugh? Like what's happening? And also, like, I had this thing on my computer at home that says, challenge all assumptions. And I think it was when I still have that on my computer. And I think really when I started doing that is when it got really interesting, because all of a sudden I was like, well, wait, how do I even know what my assumptions are? I have no idea because I just do. And if I'm just doing, how am I even going to figure out what my assumptions are? And then it was like, okay, well, I could notice what's already happening. That might tell me what my assumptions are. And if I want to shift, like what music is important to me right now? What stories am I enjoying? You know, and the noticing journal itself came from someone had given me one of those life mastery journals. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this because I'm a good, you gave me a gift. It seems like a really great idea. Everybody talks about life mastery. I should do this. And I'm going through it and I'm like, I think I got to the page where it was like, what are your daily tasks? And it literally had me wanted me to figure out how much time I was spending on each task and then tallied that time. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to miserably fail at this. And I was already feeling crappy. Like I had already been shifting the questions as I was reading them. I wish I would have kept all of that, but I was shifting the questions to looking for what I wanted versus trying to move away from something else. And I was like, I don't want to move away. I want to move toward, because when I move toward, it's like one of my friends said years and years and years ago in a class that she was whitewater rafting, and I've been whitewater rafting. So when she told the story, I was excited because she's like, when you stare at the rock, you hit the rock. And I'm like, mind blown, right? Like I'm staring at the rock when I'm saying I don't, and if I'm looking at that time, like I knew I was going to use it to shame myself. I was going to fail at checking off every single checkbox that they wanted me to check off because I just was going to. Like, not purposefully, not deciding I was going to, but I just knew it wasn't going to be perfect. And then if I didn't achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve, I was going to blame it on the one box I didn't check off. For real. I knew this about myself, but I don't know. Are you guys, tell me I'm not the only one here that does that.
Yes. Yes, I can totally relate. And like I think about that too, like when you're driving, because I've noticed that my vision is getting more sensitive because, I'm getting old. That's the bottom line here. But headlights, coming at me in the opposite direction at night are becoming more bothersome. And I've noticed it, substantially this year. And I have realized, I have to track to the opposite side of the road, like, the white line on the opposite side of the road. But yeah, it's like you're going to go in the direction that you're focusing your attention, even if you're saying to yourself, I need to not go there.
Because, and Lisa knows this, I think, because of language, right? NLP says we know how we process, right?
Right. And your unconscious mind makes the decision for you. If you've got that idea in your head that's been solidified from God knows where it came from, long time ago, whatever, past lives, generational, when you were a kid, it's going to just happen and you're going to react without you even thinking about it because it's in your unconscious mind. Yeah. Which
Yeah.
controls you.
As I say, in fact, the unconscious mind is in control.
Yeah. Now, Kimberly, you look pensive or like you've got some interesting thoughts. I'm curious.
I was actually trying to balance the computer against the other couch that's right there because it's too close or too far, and I was trying to balance it in the middle. And the puppy's here, but everything you're saying about
Perfect.
I'm a cognitive psychologist, so everything you're talking about with the unconscious mind is, true. 95 or 96% of what we're thinking today was what we thought yesterday in a different context, which leads to the feelings, and it's all same, same, same. So I agree with you.
Yeah. I think it like too, like when I think about it in fields, right? Because our cells, and even when I hear your voice and your voice comes into my ear, the sound wave hits the little hairs, which trigger a chemical reaction, which triggers that going into the rest of my brain if this and all of that is the curvature of a field moving, and so am I even hearing what was actually said, right? Or is my body interpreting it a certain way? So for me, it's like if I can think of it as we have these multiple fields happening, my body remembers because our cells move toward and away things that are familiar and unfamiliar. And I think, and to me, that's the unconscious. The cell moves toward meaning and away from meaning for itself. What nourishes the cell? What hurts the cell? I don't know how it got that. I just know it, or that's like from my perspective, that is how it works. But it's like, what, like, so for instance, in the journal, one of the first questions is like when you're writing your vision statement, like, how do you think about your vision statement? And what do you look for? So, like the question I ask is like, what has been feeling worth staying present for? What do you want to stay present for?
I had a like inner conversation with one of my inner guides this morning, and I was noticing, what parts of my day I feel really in tune, in flow, like, and I notice it's when I'm connecting with you guys, anybody that I'm connecting with, whether it's a collaborator or a client or this kind of session. I love it. I'm so into it. And also when I'm doing, my work and I'm preparing for my clients, I'm super in flow and I love it and I'm into it. But there's like the in-between pieces that are harder for me, where it's like I have to follow up and I have to reach out and I have to do all the this and this and this and this to make these moments happen. And I was asking my inner guide about, how can I work with this more? And what came to me was this idea of noticing, in a sense, right? Because the response I was getting was take 30 seconds to a minute before any new task, whatever it is, and just breathe. Take 3 breaths, 3 deep, focused, conscious breaths, and then ask yourself, what's the most important thing for me to remember in this next task? And I'm not going to say that's going to be easy for me to like start doing that and do it perfectly from this moment forward, but it felt really profound to me as a way to be so much more present moment to moment and through all the tasks that otherwise feel kind of like icky.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's a really good point to make because I do know that I go from call to call to call to call. It gets. And before I start the podcast, I ask the guests to breathe with me 3 slow in breaths and out to ground us, and it just calms everybody down so we can start and not be like blah, 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 where you talk really fast and just kind of ground. But before every call, I should really do that. Callie, that's
But
really nice. I like it.
so I just want to point to something that I'm noticing real quick that I think is very interesting. It's like I'm noticing this and how it might be wrong. So it's like, what am I doing that I'm doing well? How am I noticing that? What do maybe um it's noticing, oh gosh, I really feel connected to these people and we're excited. And we talk a lot. So instead of making it wrong, now it's like, oh, okay, this tells me I'm excited. And now I don't have to change it. I can just harness the energy and channel it, like think of Tai Chi, right? Like I'm just shifting the energy. This is, I want that connection. It's important to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be excited about it. Right?
Mhm.
You know? And so maybe like I would ask Callie, like, okay, so in those moments where it's like you love that connection, and maybe you don't like this reaching out part, but that's also connection. So how is that going well? Like how can you use what you're using over here over here? It's similar.
You're right. You're
Like,
absolutely right. And it's like, what part of it feels different to me that makes it
yeah.
more of a challenge or more of an irritation or whatever, however we want to think about that, or a burden versus those moments where, yeah, I feel like I could do this all day long, right?
Yeah. Or what, because I'm telling you, I have these amazing stories, and my stories will help me and they can hurt me. Like, I'm really bad at reaching out, but I love these things, like I'm giving you, Callie, a real story. That's my story too.
You
I
know the
also
story.
do
Oh,
what
good.
Lisa's, yeah, I also do what Lisa's talking about. Get all excited and think, oh, I should have breathed, but I didn't. I didn't have those breaths. Oh no, now I'm in trouble. Like I'm talking too fast. Like, oh wow, okay, I must be excited. So it's like just flipping to what is going well. Like, and because there's nothing wrong with what happened. And the interesting thing is, well, that's what happened, period. Anyway. Or like one of my favorite ones is like, well, that must be how it is, because that's how it is.
Oh,
Like I did not expect to be here doing this call. I thought I was going to be at home doing this call, right? Like, but I'm here, and this is where the field moved me to, if you will, for today. Okay. So I get to be out of my comfort zone. Well, that's really interesting. And having a conversation about noticing. Huh. How come that? I don't know. I
yeah.
have no
I
idea.
could I
But
could just replace your word noticing with awareness, because what you're talking about is becoming more aware of every action, of every thought, of every decision, all of those things. And awareness is the key. It's the first step to transforming yourself. So, Angela, you're really mimicking that type of step to be able to transform and change how you react and how you do things in your life, right?
yeah. Well, and my belief is that our narrative is our consciousness. It's that the story is the consciousness. So if the story I tell of the I in me determines where I go or don't go, and especially in those unconscious actions, because we do many more things subconsciously than consciously. Because, I think it's the Rumi poem that talks about being asleep. Or even if you listen to The Sound of Silence, by Simon and Garfunkel, like most of the time we're asleep and we don't even realize it. We're in the story and we're just doing because that's what the story is. So now it's like, does that have to be the story?
Yeah.
And what if it
Autopilot
doesn't
mode,
have
right?
to be? Yeah, what if it doesn't have to be that story? What if it could be something else?
Mhm.
So,
So if we have your noticing journal, excuse me, if we have your noticing journal, how does it bring us into like can you give us like an example from the journal, like if I was interacting with it, is it like a daily prompt or how does it work?
So the interesting thing on the very back, it says this journal is a place to notice. There's no right way to use it, and blank pages are welcome. Because, we get into these journals where we think if we don't do it right, I mean, this is my story, okay? That was my story. Like, if I am not gonna, what if I don't fill out every page? There are places where there are calendars, so it's got 3 seasons in it.
Mhm.
So you can actually determine what's been calling your attention for a season. And how you do that is you notice what happened in the last season. So you take a few minutes to let the last season come back into view, and not as outcomes, but as like experience. So it's like what stood out without effort? What felt easy, right? Where did energy tend to gather? Where did things feel heavy, stalled, or resistant, right? No need to solve. We're just noticing. What was it? What seemed to support me, even if briefly? So we're starting to move toward what is helping us. Yes, we're noticing there's crap, because there's always going to be crap, right? There's always going to be hard things. But are we noticing what is happening that's going well, or what could be let go or loosened right now? Like maybe something's not calling my attention, and that's okay. Like I don't have to make it wrong because I didn't do it, because if I was supposed to do it, I would have done it. So it's taking the shame out of it. You know, what influenced me this season? Who influenced me that season? You know, what's something that feels complete enough to set aside? So doesn't have to be finished, doesn't have to be anything specific. So it's like, and then noticing how the season took shape, and then you reorient forward, you know, so you can, you know, it's not a plan or a commitment. You can, what wants to arrive? What's being born right now? What feels alive, like quietly, something maybe simmering beneath the surface, you know, that's unfinished, that wants to be finished or needs to be finished. And what's asking for a little more space, you know, so you can go through, and then there are like little calendars. Like if you're someone who is like, I need to know where this lands in space and time, there's a little calendar that you can fill out dates and make little notes, you know. You can, so you've got like, I don't know if you can see that, it's a little calendar, but like if anything stands out in this season or month, you can note that, you know, like what seemed to matter this month or season, right? Where did things feel more workable? Where did things feel strained, right? What move changed? What surprised me? That's my favorite. Like, what's something that surprised me? I used to think surprises were bad. They were horrible. They were wrong because I had had so many hard things happen in my life. So I actually had to get used to. So then what I was like, okay, if I think surprises are wrong, and this is years ago, I need to notice how am so I started asking myself, how will I be surprised today? So I could shift out of thinking any surprise is bad. So sometimes it becomes a desensitization type thing, right? So yeah, so it's I mean, you can draw in it, you can track it. There's little bubbles you can fill out if you want. The most important is, you know, like some of the little sayings, you don't have to decide what this is if you're drawing something and you're not sure what you're going to do. You know, you're allowed to be where you are in this moment.
I like it.
Even if it's crappy, you know, you're allowed to be there.
Yeah, right. And I think, you know, I think about it as like everything is truly for us. You know, everything is an opportunity, everything is a gift. So even if it feels icky right now, you know, what is the possibilities within it, right? It's like shifting to that open mind, open heart way of approaching it instead of making the story, making the same old story, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, what's your favorite way to be like, or rah, you know, like what do you do in that moment?
And it's shifting the story. It's shifting the story in your head to something that's more positive rather than a negative thing. Yeah.
Yes. So we're getting to the end of our time here, but where can we get your journal if we would like to get a copy?
It is on Amazon. So I'll pop the link in the chat for you. And then if you just look it up, it's the Noticing Journal, and then you put Angela, because there are other journals that are similar or come up with the similar name. I think there's a gratitude type one, but yeah, it's very plain. It's very plain and white.
It's like nice. It's spacious.
It's very on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will put the link to it in the recording and in the live. I'll put it in the comments so anybody who's watching this via Facebook or whatever, I can let them know where to find it as well. Okay, I want to wrap up by asking if you could leave us with one simple way that we could begin working with noticing today, something that we can just carry into our lives right after this conversation. What would that be?
What's one small thing that made you smile today?
Beautiful. Yeah, I really like you talk a lot about reflection and, the power of going back and, taking a look at what has happened to give us more awareness in the present moment of what is happening, right? The more we become aware and really look at what has happened before in an intentional way, the more we can see it in process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very
I
nice.
say it's very timely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Golly Rose.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'll say it's very timely, Angela. I'm very grateful for that you're doing this nice talk with your nice journal because our society is so conditioned to be distracted, actually rewarded for it. We're flying around like gerbils on crack without noticing anything. And so
Mhm.
that it's so timely. I think the whole world needs to, or at least the United States anyway. I love my country very much. There's a lot of noise
Mhm.
and it can be tough I think of the attention as shining a flashlight. Where we place our attention is like where how a flashlight, it misses everything else and it sees only what it shine upon. And I think that's what your journal does, and I think that's super necessary right now, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so, so very much for coming on and sharing with us today. It was beautiful. I think your journal looks amazing. I'm going to go look for it on Amazon because it feels like something that I would like to have in my life. I think reflection is something I'm really working on getting better at. I do journal
Yeah.
on a daily basis, but not so much am I doing that looking back. And I noticed the power of that just last week as I was inviting a group that I lead to go back and they're all journalers. And I said, go flip to a page, within the last 3 months of your journal. Just do it randomly, just whatever pops out. And just notice where you were then, where you are now. And it was super powerful because most of us who are journalers, we don't necessarily go back and look at what we journaled a few weeks, a few months ago. And it's really powerful to see that movement, right? From where you were to where you are and what is still happening, what is still alive in what was going on then, what is complete, all those things, right? So yeah,
Mhm.
thank you so much for bringing attention to that. And before we complete, I want to share just a couple of upcoming ways to stay connected in the group. We have our next Her Power Connections gathering that's going to be on April 16th, so it's 2 weeks from today. It's the same time, 10 a.m. We have another featured speaker. Her name is 𝗧𝗵𝗲, and she is a podcast host, and I believe the podcast name is the 13 Moons. And she talks a lot about goddesses in her podcast. So I'm excited to have conversation with her too. And that space is always a beautiful opportunity to connect more deeply and hear new perspectives and be in community with other heart-centered women. We do some networking after our featured speaker, and everybody gets an opportunity to share information and connect with each other. So that's really fun. And I also want to share that our Croatia retreat in September is filling up. We have had 3 new participants join us in the last 2 weeks. So there's just a few more spaces still available. And this retreat is such a special container, chance to step away from your everyday environment and really immerse yourself in this kind of heart-led work more deeply, because sometimes we need to get out of our daily so that we can see it more clearly. And I use astrology to get there. My partner Lily is the expert in creative exploration, and we are all about creating connection and spaciousness to go deeper with ourselves and to tighten our relationships within community. So if something in you feels drawn to that kind of experience, even if it's just a little spark of curiosity, I would love to connect with you about it. And when it comes to these kind of big soul level commitments, yes, I know it can be really, really easy for our ego minds to talk us out of it. There's all sorts of legitimate excuses that we all have for not taking time for ourselves. But if you feel an inner pull, I really encourage you to follow that thread, see where it leads, The universe is infinite in abundance. And when you start saying yes, I'm sorry, my phone wants to go off. When you start saying yes, it is amazing to see what is possible beneath all the noise. And so for now, just take a nice deep breath. Notice what you're leaving with today and allow this to continue unfolding for you in your own time. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kimberly and Lisa, for being here. Thank you, Angela Surya Talent, for sharing with us today. I hope we get to have you on again soon because I love having conversations with you.
It's so fun. So fun.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.